This is the Elephant AI podcast, where we interview the best AI managers in the world. Long years spent in AI management gave us certainty that we can survive as a human race if we design and execute wisely AI projects. The hope is in well-trained AI managers and project managers, and the mission of Elephant AI is to create them. We believe in education. That's why we organize state-of-the-art courses that are highly practical. On top of that, we share insights about AI projects by interviewing the best AI leaders and managers in the world. Didier Gaultier is a head of AI and data science at Orange. He spent their last 8 years and was responsible for digitalization and AI adoption. With more than 20 years of experience in AI management, he manages more than 100 of AI experts in France only and hundreds at international level. He is a director of AI and Data Academy of Business&Decision, and he's also a teacher in data science and artificial intelligence at EPF Engineering School. So, Didier, again, it's a pleasure. And actually, it's one of the first interviews. So I might be a little, under stress. So I hope it won't show. So let us start with the first warm-up question. Could you tell me a bit, how did you start your AI journey?
Oh, yes, but it's a little bit an anecdote. I was doing MBA at that time, and we had a statistics teacher that was at the management of INSEE Institute in France and was one of the best mathematicians of INSEE. And she was extremely advanced in the courses in teaching. And at the beginning, I was working with a team. It was extremely difficult because it was not my first contact with statistics, but nearly so. Because previously I just had an engineer background, so I knew what was needed in statistics for an engineer background. And she probably teach statistics and data mining at that time. It was the name we was giving it at a PhD level instead of a MBA level, And it was very difficult. So with my colleague, we did not wanted to not understand this very important matter. So we decided to buy all the books of the subject to learn by yourself, in fact. So I think we have bought something like 3 or 4 books that was really thick books. And we have gone through all the books. We have made a lot of exercise, and at the end we finished the MBA with the best possible grade in this matter. And we decided to capitalize on that, and we have made a project right after our MBA on marketing, using AI in marketing. And we found a company that wanted to do the project with us. Then I started a new job at that time. And my new job consisting of selling AI to clients using for their marketing campaign. So it was AI really applied on marketing. For the anecdote, this company became Epsilon International in France. And after that, it had a great success. We have the luck of having a great success, and I constitute a team of nearly 15 people, and then I continue my career path on that trend. I just changed it 2 times of company. I work for a software editor in that area, and after for business and decision. And now our department of AI at Business and Decision in France encompass more than 130 people.
This is amazing, I have to admit, because you started like your background is in management, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
My
this is
real background is really an engineer background. You know, I am engineer in
engineer
physics
background.
at the very beginning, but
Wow.
I really switch it to doing at the same time a scientific orientation plus a management orientation when I've done my MBA.
Wow, so it was a good investment, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
I think so. Yes.
Okay, can I ask you, when was it? How long have you been in AI?
So yeah, of course. My MBA. In fact, I have done 2 MBAs, but my first MBA was in 2004. It was in
2004.
an American school, and I have done a kind of complement of this MBA at HEC, that is the French business school, very well known. But in fact, everything started with my first MBA.
But amazing. This is more than 15 years of experience in AI.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, this is awesome, I have to admit. And can you say to our listeners, because they are actually starting their career in AI. So how do you find this career path? Is it promising for the next 5 to 10 years? What do you think?
Definitely. The value creation by AI next year will be $3 trillion worldwide. So clearly it's a way to go, I would say. But maybe the career path that I have done is not really replicable because AI had such an expansion now that I would not recommend specifically to do the same thing than what I did. I probably advise for everyone that want to work in AI to do either an engineer school in computer science or in statistics or in artificial intelligence, and then working for a company that is more or less specialized in that area, like Business and Decision in France or other companies. Probably will be a more direct path doing that.
Yeah, but this is probably a path more for AI engineers, right? Or data scientists. And actually, some listeners will be from AI management, potential AI management. And actually, like we were discussing this no code movement. So, what do you think about this? Do you like those managers that will be managing AI projects? Do they need to code per se, or is there any other way for them?
Hmm. That's a very good question. The first thing we can do is that so it's a very long question. My answer will not be short, unfortunately. The first thing is that regarding AI, today there is a lot of data scientists that love to code. They started, I would say, 10 years ago, it was the R language that was the most used. Today, it's a Python language that is most used in coding AI. my impression is that it is quite a job to learn AI and to use the tools and the libraries that goes with AI, because there are numerous environments where you can do AI. In fact, we never in the past had have as much as environments as you have today. You have a lot of platforms where you can do AI, and the thing is that let's say my observation is that generally data scientists use the platform where they have been starting with, where they have had the most experience. It's not easy to switch from one platform to another platform. So this explains why a lot of data scientists today are coding in Python, because they have been learning Python at the first place and they want to continue. The thing is that now there is this low code or this no code movement that is also impacting AI at the moment.
Yeah.
And the thing is that very likely low code and no code, but more low code than no code, has a great advantage is that it allows to do a project with a division by 4 of the time needed.
Yeah.
That is huge. Meaning it's not a division by 2, it's a division by 4, you know. And consequently, I don't see how we can continue to only do Python and close the eyes on the low-code platforms that are on the market, while you are able to divide your time to project, your go-to-market by such a factor. So consequently, I would suggest I talk about professional data scientists at the first place. We are going to talk about manager after. For professional data scientists, I advise them to train on a low-code platform plus Python. And this is personally what I do. I use a low-code platform on the market. I will not tell the brand not to influence any kind of brand, but plus the Python language. That are the ideal combination, because the low-code platform will do 95% of the work you need, but you still need 5% to do with the code, you know. So you need to also have you need to master one language, and Python is the best choice at the moment. Now, that is not totally answering your question, because I am talking about data scientists, not
directly, because we have those two groups.
Yeah.
Group of data scientists that do coding and they do engineering work, and we have this group of people who actually manage these projects.
Absolutely.
So what advice can you give to them? How do you see this market? Is it growing, or?
Yes, definitely growing. The thing is that I don't think that a good AI manager can ignore the basics of AI. For me, you know, it is such a scientific discipline. We are not talking about writing something easy or something straightforward. It's really a complex discipline that is evolving extremely fast. And I think that any AI manager should be able at least to be a good data analyst, at least.
Absolutely.
And my
Because
feeling is that in AI you have 4 components, even 5 components, but you have the knowledge of your project. You have to know the business of your project, what you are doing, what kind of data you are talking about. You know, you have to know the statistics, and that is fundamental. I think that a data scientist that pretends to do AI and that is not able to do statistics is not a good data scientist. This is my personal belief. Of course, I know that everybody don't think necessarily the same than myself, but my experience in the domain makes that statistics are totally necessary to do good AI. Then you have machine learning and AI. That is also a discipline that you have to master. But if you know the AI manager can have knowledge about basic principle in AI, a good knowledge in statistics, and also a good knowledge about the business domain in which he is playing, I think it's a good start.
yes, definitely. Actually, there was this interesting comment that I read from the States that AI projects are simply the same as IT projects. And I absolutely don't agree with this. Like AI projects are different. You have to understand technology, you have to understand the background, you have to understand the data, right? Even if you are a manager and you don't code.
Absolutely. By the way, what you said is very interesting because now the issue in AI is the most frequent issue we find is about deployment and industrialization. And obviously, this part is the part that is going to evolve the most in the year to come. And clearly, methodology to industrialize AI is needed to be successful. This technology is called MLOps. And MLOps is a vital methodology, sorry. There is also some technology, that's a methodology. And it's also a set of good practice that you have to master, that your team have to master to be successful in industrialization. And clearly, there is a common point between MLOps and DevOps, you know. And DevOps is clearly an IT methodology. But when you put DevOps into AI, it gives MLOps.
Exactly.
And MLOps is the best practice to make data scientists to work with data engineers, because the guys that are going to industrialize the models, the ops, are data engineers and ML engineers, you know. And the guys that are going to make the model are data scientists. So they have to work together. This is not easy. This is not obvious as we could think. And MLOps is the methodology needed to make that fluent and possible. So additionally to what I said, I would say that some knowledge in computer science is obviously needed. And in particular, the master of the MLOps methodology for an AI manager looks to be something extremely important nowadays.
Yes, I absolutely fully agree. And when you are talking about methodologies, do you use any particular methodology for AI project management, like CRISP, DM, or maybe any other approach in Orange that you use?
It's a very good question. In fact, for years, I have been using CRISP DM methodology, and after CRISP expanded, and double CRISP. But what I can say, without disclosing too many secrets,
Of course.
is that Business&Decision will release its own MLOps methodology in September.
Yes. So it will be internal for all your project inside your giant organization, right?
It will be for organization and for all our clients.
Yeah.
And this methodology has been the result of a teamwork. In fact, working with all my teams during several months. And what we did, it was we have analyzed all our projects in the past. We have analyzed more than 100 projects, in fact. And we have tried to imagine how we can improve them. You know, we was several lead data scientists around the table, and we tried to brainstorm on what were wrong and what were good for each of these projects. And of course, a lot of these projects had been done with the CRISP methodology in the past. And some of them was also using CI/CD and DevOps and Scrum and plenty of other methods like that. And we made a mix of all that. We brainstorm a lot, and we thought about what a good MLOps methodology should have inside, built in. And then we decided to craft a Business&Decision MLOps methodology that will be released after summer.
Wow, this is awesome. I also believe that this is the future for majority of big companies, because crisp DM is simply not enough. And as you said, it's like the mix of everything that you do and actually best practices upon which you can build an effective project methodology. So good for you. Congrats.
So thank
This is amazing. And thank you for sharing this information. Actually, I would like to come back to this data point that you mentioned. That it's very important. Um, and again, I will ask you from the point of view of AI manager. Uh, do you think that this is maybe a trivial question, but do you think that AI managers should know about data, and how much do you think they should be aware of the data?
Wow. That's a very vast question, because we have to define what it means to be aware about data. You know,
For the project, I
yeah.
mean, because like some managers are saying that conduct AI projects, they say, no, this is a standard project. I don't need to know about data. I don't need to understand what's in them. This is like the role of data scientists. And I'm actually curious, what is your opinion about this?
Well, understanding customer data is the most difficult part in an AI project. Uh, I would even say that, nowadays, algorithms are not the problem. An algorithm is simple. What is complex is the data that you put in it. Because the data is specific to every project that you do. And there are not two projects with the same data. It's impossible to find that. And even two, let's say, suppose that you have two customers that have the same data structure, even the data content would not be the same, even if the structure was the same, and that is never the case. So
Because it's a different moment in time,
yeah,
right?
and yes, and also every organization have its specific data. The only exception to that is what we call the open data, that is the same for everyone, that you can find on open data sites for each country. For instance, in France, where I am based, it's opendata.gouv.fr, but it's the same principle for other countries. And consequently, of course, data scientists in the project have to understand data, have to explore the data, and have, and this is sometimes never done enough, have to make descriptive analysis of this data. You know, it's so important because in MLOps, there is a step that consists of doing what we call feature engineering. And feature engineering is absolutely key to succeed a project in AI. Let's imagine that we have two companies in competitions, you know, one with 100 features and the best AI model of the market, you know, and another company with 1,000 features and, let's say, a very average AI project model in complexity. 100% of the winner will be the second company, meaning the features are more important than the algorithm. That is something that is perhaps very new to tell that directly to the market, but I prefer 100% to have 1,000 features on a simple algorithm rather than 100 features and a very complex algorithm. Of course, when you have 1,000 features, you have features that are more important than others, you know, but you need to have a lot of features in an AI project. That is the first point. The second point is that this on your 1,000 feature, you will have perhaps 50 features or 50 variables, if you prefer, that will be much more important than others, you know. Yeah. The backbone of your model will be built on these 50 features. And clearly, these features has to be worked thoroughly in your project. And when I say work thoroughly, it is not only recorded, not only examined by data scientists and corrected eventually, or a check for outliers or things like that. They must really be the result of a thinking on what will be fed to the model. And because the models today have not the intelligence to really create their features themselves, you know.
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet. Not at this point in time. So you have to do the job for them of creating the best possible feature set for the algorithms to use them, in fact. And then you will have much more success than if you don't do it. And the feature engineering consists of not only creating new features, but also recoding existing feature so that the algorithm will take the best part of it. You know. So basically, an AI manager must know that. Personally, I think that only someone that has already coded an AI project can have this certainty, you know. But if an AI manager can have this knowledge, then he can manage data scientists and data engineers.
Yes, and actually, I think that communication is the key here because data scientists who are coding and doing some nitty gritty stuff, they need to communicate with AI project managers and managers, right? So I won't ask you the question whether you find it challenging because it is challenging. But could you give us a couple of best practices maybe from your company, what you do to enhance this communication, because those people are usually from different worlds, I mean management world and technology world, and how do you like create an environment when they can easily communicate?
Yeah, it's a cultural point as well as a human point. Huh? The thing is that the first very important thing in a team is to remain humble. You know, that is very important. That data scientists, data engineer, ML engineer, and AI manager remain really humble about what they do, because AI is a very complex matter, evolving extremely fast, and sometimes it's difficult to give to the trade people exactly what they want or what they would like to have, because AI is generating a lot of dreams, and these dreams are sometimes very difficult to satisfy.
Yes.
So the only possible professional position in terms of soft skills is to remain humble when you are in this area of AI. So of course, the fact of remaining humble opens the door to communication, because the reverse close the door to communication. So opening the door of the communication is to be humble, to be willing to learn also. That is the second point, because each project, you cannot say, I'm going to do an AI project and I'm sure I know 100% of what I'm going to use. It's totally impossible to think that, because clearly the technology are so numerous today that you will absolutely be sure to find something you don't know in any AI project. And even if you have studied a lot of things, I would say when I started AI nearly 20 years ago, you had the choice between SaaS, and SaaS. you know,
Yes.
uh,
I know what you mean.
Today you have something like 20 platforms like SaaS that are available, including several open source platforms.
Yes, enterprise AI included, right?
So you can master one, perhaps two platform at the maximum. So basically, an AI manager have maybe an experience on one, perhaps two platforms, but it will be the maximum you will be able to really know, to really master. So basically, communication starts with humility, and after, the methodology can help a lot. MLOps is the right one, and we will publish a white paper on this subject in October.
Great. So we will add this. If this will be open source paper, we can add it to this interview once it's
Yeah,
published.
we have already published two white papers that you can download on our
Perfect.
website. They are both in English and French. And the URL, I don't know if I can communicate this URL. It's blog.businessdecision.com. So it's very
We will add it to this interview,
yeah.
so all our listeners will be able to
Yeah.
download it on their own. Yeah.
We have the first white paper was on ethics on AI, and the second one is how AI is working, in fact.
Wow. This is super interesting. So I'm glad to hear that your company is very focused on AI ethics, because we are also commenting on this in the course as inevitable part of all AI projects.
Yeah, I don't know if you have some time so that we can just open a bracket and talk about ethics a little bit.
I would love to. We can do it. Actually, I have just one question to ask you, because you mentioned. So let me ask this, and as a last question, we will like discuss all ethics.
Okay.
I mean, all the points in ethics that you would like to cover. But before this, you mentioned in your comment that you are using different technologies, and actually AI managers and data scientists, they need to have a command of many technologies, and there are so many available on market. Which of them do you find the most promising, the most important to learn in the next 3 years, because they will be so popular?
Mhm. I can tell you what the choices we have done at Business and Decision for our internal school. We have built a AI school inside Business and Decision that already graduated more than 100 people. And so we have made some choices in terms of technology. So as I said, the language we have chosen is Python. And the platforms, I can divide platform into three groups, in fact. The first group is what we call specialized AI platforms. The platforms that are crafted to design AI projects. Generally, these platforms are portable. They can run on-premise or they can run in the cloud. And the platform we have developed the most at Business and Decision are Knime.com, KNIME.com, DataIQ, Alteryx, and DataRobot. That are the four platforms that we are using the more today. Then the second group of platforms that we are also using are what we call the hyperscalers platforms. These platforms are from Amazon, Microsoft, and Google. So for Amazon, it's SageMaker. For Microsoft, it's Azure ML. And for Google, it's Google Cloud Platform with Vertex in particular. So these are also very important platforms.
So the second group is more like cloud-based, right?
The second group is cloud-based only.
Yeah.
And I would say cloud-based and proprietary.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you choose, for instance, Azure ML, this means that you are going to work in a Microsoft environment. You know? It's not the same situation for the first group of platforms that can run either on Microsoft, on Google, or on Amazon, or even on premise. So, and the last group of platforms are newcomers in AI that was originally storage platform that are more and more becoming AI platform, you know. And these two platforms are Snowflake and Databricks.
Yeah.
You know, and they have a special category for them, and they are also very frequent in AI. So of course, it is a picture of today, and I am totally aware that we have not quoted a lot of existing platforms that can be used as well. We have not quoted RapidMiner, we have not quoted Domino, we have not quoted IBM platform, Cloudpack, and I'm sure there are plenty of other platforms that is not in my list. But even in my list, it's a quite impressive list of technology to master.
Yes, definitely. Definitely, because within, just for our listeners, if you're a beginner inside this ML platform, either it's cloud based or any other like type, I mean, the first or third type that Didier mentioned, they include a lot of internal ML technologies like for processing text or processing images. So it's not like, you know, like you spend one evening or one afternoon mastering this platform and you understand how it works. Now, inside there is many technologies. Let me say, not to master, but at least to be aware that they exist and how they work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And my recommendation for people that are currently learning AI, either data scientists, data engineer, and AI managers, is to start with a low-code platform and then continue with Python. But the low-code platform is the most important because as I said before, the same project done with a low-code platform and the same project done fully from A to Z in Python, the time spent on the project will be multiplied by 4 if you don't use the platform. So I really recommend using the platform. And I'm going to give you a good practice that is extremely important.
I'm all ears.
For AI manager in particular, is that on a project, everyone should be on the same platform. You cannot have data scientists on one platform and data engineer and ML engineer on another platform. And this practice is not well applied today, but it is so important. I think that many failures in AI projects are coming from the fact that data engineers and data scientists are not working on the same platform. And of course, it creates plenty of difficulties and it makes MLOps extremely complex to deploy. So my advice would be even more than that. For a company, it's to choose a platform and have everyone in AI on the same platform for all the projects. That is a quite difficult choice to do because
It takes time,
yes,
definitely.
because when you have chosen a platform, it is quite difficult to go backward.
It's also vendor lock-in. We talk about it in the course that if you decide on one platform, either this is a cloud or any other solution, it's very difficult to change, to switch from one to another, because you don't do it like overnight.
True.
It takes a lot of time to
But
implement.
for MLOps and inside a project, it is totally vital to have a single platform.
Yeah, true. Didier, thank you for this. You wanted to open the topic. Let me say, I don't want to call it a Pandora box, but this is like a topic that everyone now focuses on, and good. I believe that the number of discussions is still too low. Like we should discuss AI ethics as much as we discuss AI in general, right? So, what's your opinion here? What do you find controversial? What do you find the most important?
Well, AI ethics and by extension green AI are very important subjects for the future. And a lot of these subjects will be on the shoulders of data scientists, data engineers, ML engineers, and AI managers. The thing is that there are some good practice that can be used. First of all, to have an AI that is more green, that is less costly than some very expensive AI. I see a lot of people that are playing with GPUs and TPUs and neural networks and convolutional networks, and fine. But I think that we should always ask the question, is convolutional network and deep learning the right model for what I'm going to do? It's true that, it's true that if you are in computer vision, you need deep learning, of course. Maybe if you are doing some NLP, natural language processing, there is good chance that you are going to need deep learning as well. But these projects represent maybe 20 or 30% of all AI projects. So for all the other projects, do we really need a neural network to do the job? This is a very good question, and if you think about what I said about feature at the beginning, maybe it's better to add feature than to get a more complex model, for instance.
Yeah, it's like taking, I mean, like getting to your work every day by some kind of a truck or a big car, because like you can do it, but it will be costly. On the other hand, it will be quite inefficient. And sometimes it will take too much time and too much effort to do it. And from the ecological point of view, like you said, it will not be green at all.
Absolutely, and this is one part of the issue, of course. But using also edge computing and data meshing also, maybe you can find an infrastructure that will be more green friendly, and this is on the data engineer part, and data architect part is designing infrastructure. Maybe you don't need all the data at the central point every time. Maybe using edge computing, you can build layers of data, and you don't need all the layers of data to be everywhere in your information system. So that is also something that must be by design, and green by design and ethics by design. On another aspect of ethics is, of course, fighting bias in the models. I was reading a paper recently in the States. They have used a model to calculate the probability that a child will not be able to continue to be raised by delinquent parents. When you have the mother or the father that is going to jail, sometimes there is a problem with the child, with the children.
Yeah.
And they have been using during a time an algorithm to evaluate if the child can continue with her parent, even in the case of jail, for instance, or not. And this algorithm, fortunately enough, has been stopped because they found a lot of racial and ethnical bias in this model. And I think that several mistakes has been done with this algorithm. The first one is that it was not accurate enough at the beginning because the people that have been working on the model reported 1/3 of false positive on the model itself. So meaning that there is something really wrong with the model itself. But after they discovered that they was using biased data to train the model. And of course, when you have bias in the data, the model cannot be otherwise than a biased model, you know. And this means that we have now more responsibility on choosing the data that we are going to use to train a model. And it is a responsibility that will be more and more on the shoulder of data scientists, AI managers, and even people on the trade side, that are going to be sure that their data set is clean, because a lot of data sets have been following the past history or the track history of a trade, and they have plenty of bias because human being has cognitive bias. So we have to take care that the cognitive bias are not transformed.
Yeah.
In fact, the more complex the algorithm or the model you are using is, the more risk you have to have a bias in it. So there is a kind of balance to find between green AI and I would say explainable AI and complexity. Because if you are, for instance, using deep learning or convolutional network or things like that, then you have a high level of complexity. And high level of complexity give high level of risk of bias and give also projects that are not green friendly. So this is to go back to what I was saying at the beginning, is that maybe adding more feature and having a less complex model will help you to get a project that will be better, more explainable, more green, and with less risk of bias. But whatever model you decide to do, you will have to use statistics to test the bias of a model. And for instance, if you want to see if your model has a bias against gender, for instance, then you take a sample of men and women that are randomly selected at the entry of the algorithm, and you have to check how your algorithm behave in terms of maybe being equal in treating men and women. But if you don't do this test, you will not know if your algorithm is biased or not. So you have to use the statistical approach to test bias, and then use statistical calculations, to see if your model pass the test or don't pass the test. And we are back into statistical knowledge with AI. That is fun, in fact.
With which we have actually started our conversation.
Exactly. And what I was saying is that a large part of this work of testing models will be on the shoulder of data scientists, even a step further, I think that the data scientist in the future not only will have to build and craft the model, but including in the MLOps methodology, you will have to test a certain number of indicators to be sure that ongoing your model will continue to be a good model that is not biased and that is working well. And it is not a simple algorithm crafting work that is needed here. It's much more than that. And for instance, when we manage projects in AI, I always give the good advice to my team to check the variance of the residuals of the model. Because when you check the variance of the residuals, and the residuals being the difference between predicted value and real value, either that can be in numerics or in a categorical feature, that can be plenty of things, but you have to calculate the homogeneity of the variance of your residuals, because when you have a model that start to have residuals that are not homogeneous, that is a symptom that something is going wrong in the model, you know. And the same for the bias, you know, when you start to have an indicator that looks like that statistically, for instance, men and women are not treated equally in the model, maybe your model is becoming to be biased and need to be retrained, for instance.
Yeah. And definitely managers, AI managers must understand this and must put it into the process of managing their projects. Unless they understand it, they will be more willing to, to accept the fully biased project that can actually harm nations or groups of people or companies. So, Didier, we will be closing our today's interview. So I have a question for you, the last one. Could you give our listeners a couple of tips, for example, three of them for AI managers? How do you suggest they should proceed now? What they should do? What they should focus on while managing AI projects?
Wow. So the first tip I can give to AI manager is to learn the MLOps methodology and start to apply this methodology on every AI project that they do, because it will allow them to go much in depth in the way the AI project is going to be deployed. That is the first tip. The second tip is for AI manager to have a good knowledge of statistics and learn statistics. There are plenty of very good courses about statistics, but statistics is really key to understand and succeed in AI after. And it looks like it's not obvious for
It's
data
not.
scientists and data engineers, but I can guarantee you that it is very important. And the last advice I can maybe propose is to work on a consistent environment, a technically consistent environment, meaning having people working on consistent technology. For instance, if you are using Spark, using both languages and platforms that are really fully compatible with Spark, not trying to put together things that are not crafted at the beginning to work together. Maybe these three projects, and the last one is never stop to learn.
Yes, this is true. This is the area that guarantees you a lot of fun, but on the other hand, requires a lot of engagement because, like, every 2 weeks or at least a month, there's something new to absorb and to understand. And if you don't have this background, it will be difficult for you to understand what will be the impact on business side and on data science projects as well. Didier, thank you so much for being with me today. Thank you for all your answers and insights. It has been invaluable for me to understand how you work and actually to learn from your experience. Like, I cannot imagine like how many projects must you have delivered over the last almost, as you said, 20 years of AI experience. So I hope that this won't be the last conversation of ours. But for today, I thank you so much.
I wish you all a very healthy and plenty of fun in AI projects. And good luck and goodbye.
Thank you so much. Thank you once again.
Thank you for listening to this conversation with Didier Gaultier, Head of AI and Data Science at Orange. If you are interested in AI management, please check out our Elephant AI courses at elephantai.io. What is worth mentioning is that Elephant AI is focused on sustainability, and we are sharing our revenue to save endangered species, especially elephants, with the usage of AI. See you in the next interview.